Hey, Jason from Couch to Camino here with my second video blog. Those of you who've given me some feedback from the first blog, I appreciate it. Two things: I've learned that I need to cut it down to 15 minutes or less, so this will be mercifully short. And second, that I'm using the word in place of periods, commas, everything. So working on that as well. There you go. So today what I want to talk about a little bit is what I'm doing to prepare for the Camino and how my training is going. So if you remember from the last blog or from the reading in the blogs I've typed, the Camino Inglés that I'll be doing is broken up into stages. The largest stage is about 30 kilometers, and that's kind of a concern for me. So, being sedentary. So one of the first things I started doing is, along with the weight loss, I started doing some walking with a backpack, first without, and then as I got fitted for a backpack, with a backpack, and then kind of gradually added a little bit of weight. But I'm trying to increase my endurance, see how far I can go, and I've increased it a little bit every single time. A couple of kilometers. At this rate, I should be ready for the Camino in about 3 years, so I've got to kind of pick up the pace. It's also given me a chance to get used to my gear, get used to what I need and what I don't, and what weight is appropriate for me. So it's been a really good few weeks with the walks. I'm walking on the Eglin Reservation. I got a pass for that, and so I've been able to do my first walks, paved roads, some pretty serious hills, and they worked pretty well. I mean, I was able to move a little bit further every single time. Last week I walked through town, hat and bag, back and forth to my parents' house. It was a total of about 10 miles back and forth, and I added a little bit more weight, a couple of items of clothing. So what I'm finding is that my endurance is increasing. I'm not pushing myself too much. I think this week I'll be doing one, maybe two walks. One a little bit shorter than the other. I'm shooting for 5 miles for one, and I'm going to shoot for at least 10 the next. With just a few items of clothing in the bag, and kind of getting used to how much water I'm going to carry, probably a couple of liters, and kind of see how that works for me. The other thing that's happened is I'm getting very used to breaking in the shoes that I'm using and the bags. I want to talk a little bit about that. The first are the shoes. The two most important things, and anyone who's a hiker would say right off the bat, shoes in the bag. So the shoes, I have some Merrells. They're waterproof, and they are, absolutely gorgeous. They go with nothing that I wear, but anyone who knows me knows that that's not really an issue. I've been breaking these in, been wearing them to work. I've been walking in them since I've gotten them, and they've been doing pretty well, actually. I wear a large shoe, I wear a 15, and what I am finding is that with the socks that I'm wearing, it's getting pretty close to the end, but I think a 16 is going to be too much, so I'm going to kind of have to make do with that. The other thing that goes along with the shoes is the socks. I've been doing a lot of reading about blisters and things like that, and so what a lot of people say is, you want wool socks, and so I have two types. I have some thick wool socks, like this, and trust me when I say that there isn't a greater fashion statement than walking through Florida in shorts and shoes and a pair of these babies. It absolutely goes very well with the pasty look. I mean, yeah, so there you go. So I've been using these thicker socks, and they've been doing great, but they're making the shoe a little bit tight. So I went with these PhD smart wool socks, and I realized that this camera may be backwards, so trust me, no, it's not Yiddish. It is, it says smart wool, just backwards. So there's still wool socks, but they're thinner, and so in none of the walks have I had any problems with my feet. No problems with blisters. Knock on wood, and they worked out pretty well. So I've gotten a couple pairs of the thinner socks. I'm not expecting a lot of cold except for at night, so I'm hoping that that's going to work out. Well, as I get farther along, I'll have a better idea on how it's going to work as we, in the evenings. The other thing is, so that's the shoes and socks. The other thing is the bag, and I showed this briefly in the last blog, but this is an Osprey Kestrel, and 36 or 38 liter. That's kind of how they're done. So it's pretty small. And the reason for that is I'm going on a small walk. I mean, there are some pretty like hardcore pilgrims that talk about, oh, I took a rucksack or 2 Walmart bags full of clothes and I walked it. Because there's hotels in between, because it's only a 5-day walk, if you're hardcore serious at this, you probably could get by. Not hardcore serious. So I needed something that will allow me to take a few things, but not so large that it becomes a challenge to not put a bunch of things in it. So I went with a 38 liter, had it tried on at Trail and Ski in Tallahassee. And by the way, shameless plug, Trail and Ski in Tallahassee, fantastic store. I highly recommend them. So, you know, they let me walk around, put some weight in it. It was great. So ordered that. I'm only wanting to take another set of clothes. I'll wear a set and then I'll carry a set, and there'll be some small things I'm going to carry with me. But it works very well because I can put it in the overhead compartment. My plan is to carry on my bag. I don't want it any bigger than that. If I can get a walking stick there, if I pick things up those last couple of days in Santiago, I may check the bag on the way home. But getting there, I don't want anything to get in the way of me not having my bag. That would just ruin the trip before it even started. So, you know, I've got to make sure that I've got the bag. The last thing I've got is, that's important, not last thing, but most important for this stage, is a water bladder. Went back and forth between water bottles or canteens and water bladder, and I've been pretty happy with the bladder. Filled it up to 3 liters. That's a little bit much, and I've got to get a feel for how much I'm really going to use on these long walks. But right now I haven't emptied it. Even on the longest walk, I'm talking about 1.5 liters of water. Doubling it, I think I'll be okay. And there are places most of the time on the Camino where I can get potable water. So, but this slips in the back of the bag. It's great. The bag is fantastic. You know, I've only been doing this for a few weeks, but I'm starting to really get used to how it works. One of the things that's been interesting is with the weight loss, the way the bag is set, it puts all the weight on your hips. And the second time I went out, it just wasn't working for me. The weight wasn't working. It turns out because I had lost enough weight that I wasn't cinching the belt up. So it was really interesting. Anyone who's doing this for the first time as you're adjusting your bag, if you are losing weight as you're walking or as you're dieting, you may find that the settings for your bag will change over time. That was a new thing for me, and you know, it really made it a lot easier. I suffered with that bag for a little while the second walk, thinking I just lost my mind, and it was really because I just needed to readjust it because there's some differences. Because my body's changing. So those are the main things that I'm dealing with right now. So I'm doing the walks a little bit. Every week I'm walking. There'll be a longer hike every week. So again, this week I'm going to go through another city. I'll be going through Niceville, walking through there probably Sunday. And I'm going to do another walk the day before, a shorter walk, because I also want to get used to the idea of walking back to back. I haven't really done that yet. So 3 or 4 miles tomorrow, and then on Sunday, I'm looking for 10 to 12 is what I'm hoping for. And then just kind of go from there. I'm putting some clothes in the bag just to kind of weight down just a little bit, nothing bad. Also have a really very attractive floppy sun hat, which you really need to be seen to believe. I'll show that next time. It is epic. But that's really kind of what's going on right now. It's just a little bit of training every week, keeping on the weight. I'm down about 20 pounds from the beginning of the year, maybe a little bit more than that. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm having some problems with the endurance, but that's just going to come, you know, and the asthma doesn't help that. But yeah, it's going really well. And so I would, you know, one thing I've found is by pacing it out like this and doing it every week, I think it's helping my body get used to this new thing. I know some people say they come right off the couch and just go right into the Camino, and I might be able to do that, but I don't see it. So I think this is the way for me right now. I've got about 45 days before I leave, and that gives me, you know, time for another 4, 5, 6 good walks. I'm hoping I can get up before I leave. I've got to get up to that 30-kilometer mark, and right now I'm closer to 18, 20, so I've got some work to do to get to where I need to go, but that's where I am right now. So anyway, so that's the end of this blog. Hopefully it's not 15 minutes, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.